to discuss with you guys how to roll over your 401k. 401k and how to avoid a lot of the common mistakes that seniors and pre-retirees are making when they're given this option of either they severed employment at their current employer or they've retired, and how to basically leverage your 401k accounts to maximize a kind of a worry-free retirement if that's what your goals permit. But I want you to just always be mindful when watching this video. Please, please rewind, go back through some of the strategies that I'm covering, and I think that this should be pretty beneficial for you. First and foremost, a 401k account, and this is something that if you've been working at the same company for a while, you've been contributing into this. This is a sort of retirement plan, and it's deemed a qualified retirement account through the IRS. And essentially what that means is you have certain rules that are favorable because it is a qualified retirement account, and also work against you because you're now at the discretion of the government controlling kind of how the taxation works and different things like that. But for the most part, you understand that when you were working on a certain company, you're able to contribute amounts on different sums of monies every year into these accounts. You were able to get a tax deduction on all the amount of money that you were contributing to those accounts, but understanding that at a later date, when you want to take this for retirement, you want to touch any of this money, it's going to be fully taxed at a later date. So that's one of the things, and to always be mindful of something known as a 59.5 rule. Because when you're looking to roll over these accounts, this 59.5 rule could really hurt you. Some of the most common mistakes that I've actually seen with 401k accounts is people thinking that this is a retirement account that they could touch at any time. And I've had way too many conversations that are just, it's completely mind-boggling that, that the education process is not there for some of these, employers, that they're not educating their workers properly on understanding that you can't touch this money before age 59 and a half if you don't want to be penalized. And so common misconceptions are, okay, I left employment at a, I basically left a certain employer and I have $100,000 that's sitting into this, 401k account, and I'm 35 years old, and, I'm just going to take this money and go. And that you will be hit with tax. This will be as if you're making $100,000 a year, so you'll get fully taxed on the $100,000 tax bracket plus whatever income you're making that year as well, and you get 10% penalized as well. So say if you did this common mistake and you just took the money without actually utilizing a rollover strategy, and let's say you were in a 30% tax bracket, you would actually be losing 40% of this money would be going to the IRS. So that's a very, very typical common mistake, and it's just please be mindful that this is meant for retirement, so that's why there is that 59.5 rule there. You want to, one of the most important things is what exactly, when determining how to roll over a 401k account, what exactly is this money, what do you want this money to do for you? Is this 401k account established for your fun money? Meaning, are you going to use it to buy a vacation house or utilize vacations or go gambling or whatever it is? Is that what you're looking for after age 59 and a half? Which is pretty, majority of individuals are not looking for it for that aspect. Some, but the majority of individuals are not. Is it for inheritance maximization? Meaning, are you trying to stack up this account and to understand, okay, maybe you don't have life insurance or different things like that, or different sorts of of inheritance to leave to your beneficiaries, to your loved ones, and you want to basically increase this amount of money in your 401k account so you can leave it to them. That is also a very common mistake, because the taxation is not going to be favorable for them if you're looking for that strategy, and there's a lot easier strategies to utilize that. Now, you're probably the person watching this video is going to correlate to majority of individuals I deal with, and the 401k account is going to be utilized as your retirement income. Now, there's a couple different things to understand when rolling over your 401k account, and it is if you're a conservative mindset, or let's say you're above the age of 45 and you're basically looking to produce retirement income, you do not want to make that common mistake that people did in 2008. And what happened was their 401k accounts were doing so great before then that everybody stayed in an aggressive route, in their 50s, in their later 40s, and their 60s, and they stayed with their aggressive 401k allocations, and the bottom fell out, and the average portfolio lost about 58% of their retirement income. So, if you had $1 million and all of a sudden, you're thinking, okay, I have a couple of years to retirement, I'm just going to stay exactly what I've been doing. And then 2008 hits and you lost $580,000 of this portfolio. I mean, that's unbelievable. Talk about a sort of stress level. I mean, people are not able to retire now. And it was because they did not take the proper strategy with understanding what options they could have rolled over this money into or become more conservative, and they would have been able to have that peace of mind in retirement. And that's a lot with this video, what I want to kind of cover with this. So I want to kind of go over right now the common mistakes. And once again, I apologize for my horrible handwriting, but just bear with me on this. Now I mentioned a 59.5 rule. Now what happens is when people are working and they have their 401k accounts, some individuals actually pull money out as a loan while they're still working for their company. So this is prior to actually being able to given the options to roll over this money. So they might be, 40 years old, and let's say you took out a $20,000 loan on your 401k account that's valued at $100,000. Well, this $20,000, it has to be paid back before you roll over that money. Now, because you cannot touch this money before age 59 and a half, of actually take it out as a distribution, the government is going to hit you with a 10% penalty, and fully tax you on that money that you took out as a loan. Because when you roll over, you're essentially starting a new plan, and this money has to be paid back. And when it's paid back, the government sees it as that was an actual income distribution to you. So they're going to say, oh, well, you know what, if we're going to deem this as an income distribution, you have that 59.5 rule that you never played by, so we're going to hit you with that 10% tax. And because this was $20,000, you already touched that money, so we're going to fully tax you on that as well. So that's a number one mistake that you do not want to make. You want to basically weigh out your options, whether it might be more important to leave it in there and slowly pay back those loans, or to roll it over into something that is attractive that gives you back that that amount that you lost. Next option is rolling over when you have a loan on the 401k. If you are over the age of 45 and you want to leverage this money for retirement, do not become aggressive. Such a common thing is people, like in 2008, they became too aggressive with their 401k accounts, and they essentially were so heavily, they were in very risky types of investments, very risky types of mutual funds that were more stocks than bonds, and different things, and that's why they saw their large dips in their accounts. Understand the options, okay, with how you could actually roll over your 401k. Now, your first option could be a 401k into a 401k. And all that means is if you left one employer and you're starting a new employer, you could actually roll that money over into that new plan. That is an option, with the new 401k. It all depends upon what types of companies and what types of allocations, what type of mutual funds are in there. If they're crappy funds, then you don't want to do something like that. It just would not make any financial sense, because then you're not going to be having that great of gains in those accounts. You could put a 401k into an IRA account. An IRA just stands for an individual retirement. And essentially what that does, and typically, and I'm going to use that word typically, the 401k options, you might have, let's say 20 different options, as opposed to an IRA will give you much more, much greater than 20 options in there, and you could actually, you could mess around on different sectors, and it'll be a more attractive option for you to actually roll it over into an IRA, and you're essentially controlling this at all times. If you're looking to maximize retirement income at a later date, I would recommend, and you have to really deal with a specialist on this, but roll it over into an IRA annuity. And, depending upon what exactly your goals are, what the annuity does is it kind of takes your money from a what if, basically a guessing game with your retirement, and it throws it into a sort of personal pension plan aspect where you say, okay, I have this lump sum of money, I'm going to roll over into an IRA annuity. It could still be increasing when the markets do well, and not lose any value when the markets go down, depending upon the type of annuity. But at a later date in time, when you're ready to take it for income, what an annuity does is it provides lifetime income. So it's basically income that you can never outlive. So if you have multiple income sources for retirement, say if you have old 401k accounts and you roll them over into the IRA annuities, they could be extremely favorable, because if you had a couple of different 401k accounts, you could roll over to a couple of different types of IRA annuities. And then when you're ready to retire, let's say, you're age 65, you could have income come from either a pension plan through work, you have income come from your IRA annuity, another IRA annuity, and then you could have Social Security income. And then you could essentially have that peace of mind factor, because you would have multiple sources of income. It will be deemed, it will be covering your lifetime, or you and your spouse's lifetime of income, and you could basically spend this retirement money with confidence. With confidence, and that's a huge, word to use is confident. You want to be confident in retirement. You don't want to stress about that. You don't want to be watching MSNBC every single day, hoping that the markets are going to do well. And you have to really distinguish your differences between savings versus investments, and understand that if your goals are with the 401k account is to take retirement income, you want to go into a savings, a fixed, a conservative income producing vehicle, rather than an investment that, yes, you could have potential high growth, but you could have a very high potential loss in there as well, and not fall victim like they did in 2008.